Good day, ma'am. I'm Major Deep at the grade 11 section, and the content in this video is all about exogenous processes. Exogenous processes. This is called the processes of external origin, or in the other word, processes that derive their energy from external sources of the earth. For example, the energy of the sun that causes the differential heating of the atmosphere, resulting in differences in the pressures. The energy of the sun that derives the hydrological cycle and involves the transfer of moisture from the bodies of the water to the earth's atmosphere and near to the ocean. Thus, exogenous processes are closely linked to the role of the various external agents such as weather, wind blooming, running water, groundwater, waves, and currents in the water, glaciers, and so on. Since these processes are restricted to the surface of the earth, they are called epiogenic processes. These processes constitute a very complex sum of mutually dependent changes. That is, all exogenous processes are involved with each other. The exogenous processes act on the forms of the terrain to break the rock erosion, to abrade the surface, and to create the characteristic of the valley. Destruction products disintegrate under the influence of the gravity or are drawn by the wind blowing waters, moving galleries to the lower areas such as lakes, seas, the ocean, and so on. Exogenous processes tend to eliminate any unevenness on the surface of the earth. Inequality of the surface develops due to the movement of the crust, erosion, and uneven deposition. On the other hand, the process by which superficial inequalities of the earth are eliminated and a level surface is created is known as gradation. All gravity processes are driven by gravity. These are divisible into two main categories, namely degradation and gratification. Degradation is the process which a plant material is removed by geometric agents, as a result of which the altitude is reduced. The degradation is terrestrial surface is realized mainly through resistance to the weather, waste of mass, and erosion. Meanwhile, gratification is the process of sediment deposition. Under favorable conditions, when transport agents lose their transport power, the material transported are deposited, sometimes in the sea, sometimes on the land. Therefore, the low section are gradually filled with deposition of sediment by running waters, groundwater, wind, glaciers, waves, currents, and tides. The dominant process on the Earth's surface are both constructive and destructive. All geological processes can be classified into two categories, endogenous and exogenous. Endogenous forces, earthquake volcanism, created disparities in the Earth's surface, while exogenous force, waves, glaciers, and wind eliminate inequalities in the Earth's surface. All the characteristics that owe their origin to an endogenous force are invariably modified by an exogenous force. The endogenous forces are mainly caused by the thermal energy of the mantle and the crust. This thermal energy is derived from the disintegration of the radioactive elements and from the gravitational differentiation in the mantle. The exogenous forces tend to eliminate all the unevenness in the surface of the earth. As it is known, The unevenness on the surface has its causes in the movement of the crust, erosion, and uneven disposition. The effect of exogenous. The foundation soil is influenced by many factors that have an impact on the realization of building structures. A large group consists of exogenous factors. Exogenous factors are acting on the Earth's surface at any moment. The dynamic and strength effects of each individual exogenous factor differs in each location. Understanding the basic exogenous factors and their effects on building construction is essential in the realization of any construction. Exogenous processes determine the process of weathering, which are applied as erosion and abrasion. In addition, landslide whose destructive power is determined by span of movement and real extension. Therefore, the process of stratification causes the creation of the cavities. They also include the collapsibility of soils who, like the previous factors, have a negative impact on construction. They occur mostly in mutual interaction, although individual exogenous processes are presented separately. The publication presents problems of exogenous factors, their effects on building construction, and changes in physico-mechanical parameters. Good knowledge of the fundamental problems occurring in connection with exogenous factors allow us to ensure, measure, and expect a number of complications early. What is exogenous growth? Exogenous growth, a key tenet of neoclassical economic theory, states that economic growth is fueled by technological progress independent of economic forces. The exogenous growth model factors in production, diminishing returns of capital, savings rate, and technological variables to determine economic growth. Both exogenous and endogenous growth models stress the role of technological progress in achieving sustained economic growth. The endogenous growth model differs from the exogenous growth model in that it suggests that forces within the economic system result in creating the atmosphere for technological progress. Understanding exogenous growth. The exogenous growth theory states that economic growth arises due to influence outside the economy. The underlying assumption is that economic prosperity is primarily determined by external independent factors as opposite to internal independent factors. From a broad economic sense, the concept of exogenous growth grew out of the neoclassical growth model. The exogenous growth model factors in production, diminishing returns of capital, saving rates, and technological variables to determine economic growth. The exogenous growth theory states that economic growth arises due to influence outside the economy. The underlying assumption is that economic prosperity is primarily determined by external, independent factors as opposite to internal, interdependent factors. From a broad economic sense, the concept of exogenous growth grew out of the neoclassical growth model. The exogenous growth model factors in production, diminishing returns of capital, saving rates, and technological variables to determine economic growth. Exogenous growth factors include things such as the rate of technological advancement or the savings rate. Exogenous growth factors, meanwhile, will be the capital investment, policies decision, and an expanding workforce population. These factors are modeled by the Solow model, the Ramsey model, and the Harrod-Domar model. The sum of these models given a fixed amount of labor and static technology. Economic growth will increase at some point as ongoing products reaches a state of equilibrium based on internal demand factors. Once this equilibrium is reached, exogenous factors are then needed to stoke growth. Geologic process caused by source of energy exterior to the Earth's surface, purely solar radiation in combination with the force of gravity. Exogenous processes occur at the near the surface of the Earth crust and are the mechanical and physical interactions of the crust with the hydrosphere and atmosphere. They include weathering and the geologic action of flow of wind, Ellorimo process, deflation, flowing surface, and groundwaters, erosion, denudation, lakes and swamps, the water of the seas and oceans, abrasion, and glaciers exhalation. The most important manifestation of exogenous processes on the Earth's surface are the disintegration of rocks and chemical transformation of their constituent mineral, physical, chemical, and organic weathering. The removal of transport of the resulting lucid and soluble products by water, wind, and glaciers, and the deposition of these products in the form of sediments on the land or at the bottom of water basins and their gradual transformation into sedimentary rock, sedimentary-thesis, diagenesis, and catagenesis. Exogenous processes, together with endogenous processes, contribute to shaping of the earth relief and the formation of sedimentary rocks and associated or deposits. Thus, for example, ores of aluminum, bauxite, iron, nickel, and other minerals form under condition of weathering and sedimentation. The selected deposition of minerals by flowing waters result in the formation of gold and diamond placers. Composites mineral from under condition favorable to the accumulation of organic matters and sedimentary strata rich in such matter. The Earth is shaped by many different geological processes. The forces that cause these processes come from the both land and beneath the Earth's surface. Processes that are caused by forces from within the Earth are endogenous processes. By contrast, exogenous processes come from forces on or above the Earth's surface. Many exogenous forces are as a result of other bodies in space. For example, the moon causes tides in the Earth oceans and other big bodies of water. Impact from comets and meteoroids change the surface of the Earth. When they strike the Earth, they create craters, which are holes, which can be very big or small in the ground. Radiation from the sun can cause aurorae, which are the lights that can be seen at night near the poles. An example of the exogenous process that is not as a result of bodies in space in erosion. Erosion happens as a result of wind, water, ice, or people, animals, or plants digging in the earth. Some other examples of exogenous process are rainfall, snowfall, hailstorm, eruption, tsunami, avalanches, wind, and wave currents. Geologic process. Exogenous process occurs on or near the surface of Earth. They are usually influenced or driven by gravity, water, wind, and organism. This could be destructive occurrence that leave significant changes on the landscape and even in the ecosystem of an area. Exogenous process. Eruption. It is the process by which Earth's surface is warmed away by wind, water, or ice. The process of eruption moves rock, delos, or soil from one place to another. Eruption takes place when there is rainfall, surface runoff, flowing rivers, seawater intrusion, flooding, freezing and thawing, hurricanes and wind. These are forces of nature, whether violent or passive, capable of accelerating and scraping Earth's surface and exploiting and scraping Earth's surface, and exposing the layers underlying it. Weathering. It is the disintegration of rocks, soil, and minerals together with other materials through contact with Earth's subsystem. Physical weathering. It is the breakdown of rocks by mechanical forces concentrated along rocks fractures. Chemical weathering is the process by which rocks break down by chemical reactions. Mass wasting. This refers to the movement of large masses of materials down a slope or step-sided hills or mountain due to the pull of gravity. Sedimentation. It is the accumulation of material such as soil, rocks, fragments, and soil particles sitting on the ground. A geologic process caused by source of energy exerted to the Earth's surface. Purely solar radiation in combination with the force of gravity. The Earth is shaped by many geological processes. The forces that make this thing happen come from both inside and outside the Earth. In geology, exogenous processes comes from the force on or above the Earth's surface. Processes caused by forces from within the Earth are endogenous processes. Exo is prefix meaning at and endo is prefix meaning in. Many exogenous forces are caused by other bodies in the solar system. The Sun is the main exogenous influence in the solar system. It has many effects on Earth. Radiation from the Sun is a main cause of the growth of plant life. We are partly shielded from the Sun's solar wind by the Earth's magnetic field. Storms of solar particles would otherwise strip away the ozone layer which protects us from ultraviolet radiation. Sometimes we see aurorae, which are light that can be seen at night. There are three main endogenous geological processes: folding, floating, and volcanism. They take place mainly along the plate boundaries. These are the zones on the edge of plates. Conclusion. The dominant processes on Earth's surface are both constructive and destructive. All geological processes can be classified in two categories, endogenous and exogenous. Endogenous force, earthquake, volcanism, and others, create disparities in the Earth's surface, while exogenous forces, waves, glaciers, wind, and others, eliminate inequalities in the Earth's surface. All the characteristics that owe their origin to an endogenous force are inherently modified by an exogenous force. The endogenous forces are mainly caused by the thermal energy of the mantle and the crust. This thermal energy is derived from the disintegration of the radioactive elements and from the gravitational differentiation in the mantle. The exogenous forces tend to eliminate all the unevenness in the surface of the Earth. As it is known, the unevenness of the surface has its cause in the movement of the crash, eruption, and uneven depositions. How important are exogenous processes in our life? Exogenous processes occur at or near the surface of the Earth's crust and are the mechanical and physiological interaction of the crust with the hydrosphere and atmosphere. They include weathering and the geologic action of the wind, flowing surface and groundwaters, lakes and swamps, the waters of the seas and ocean, and glaciers. Exogenous processes, together with endogenous processes, contribute to shaping of the Earth's surface relief and the formation of sedimentary rocks are associated or deposits. The selective deposition of minerals by flowing water result in the formation of gold and diamond placers. Combustible minerals from the under combination of favorable to the accumulation of organic matters and sedimentary strata rich in such matter. That's all. Thanks for watching and have a good day.